Orange County Supervisor John Moorlach wants to rescind a pension benefit that was approved for the Orange County Sheriff's deputies by a prior Board of Supervisors. Orange County Sheriff Mike Carona is adamant that the state set the retirement plan and that the supervisor is unfairly targeting his deputies.
Not figuring out how it applies only to deputy sheriffs and to DA investigators. Assuming this retroactive pay portion of it is the issue that he's putting forward from a legal perspective, and again, I'm not a lawyer, all of our notes and the pay documents that we show give the appearance that this was paid for by the employees and by the county, and that all the unfunded liability was identified, calculated, that risk assessment was put into play, and when the Board of Supervisors made the decision, they made it knowing full well what the costs were behind it and how they were going to pay for that.
If you would have asked me in 2001 that the Board of Supervisors, would the supervisors vote for 3% at 50, I'd say impossible. It's just too expensive. They couldn't do it in clear conscience. They just unheard of. We found out that it had been voted for after it was done. And so how could this be?
What I disagree with is, the application only on deputy sheriffs and the fact that he's arguing points that don't seem to be truthful about retroactivity and who paid for it and whether or not this is a gift of county funds.
It pertains just to our public safety employees because when the other employees negotiated for a retroactive benefit, they agreed to withhold from the employees an amount that would satisfy the retroactive portion.
But the sheriff claims that all the financial liabilities were fully understood and viable at the time the board approved the benefits.
Back in 2001, 2002, we calculated out what those costs were. And we described that as an unfunded liability. Number of people that would be affected, that could retire if this were to go into effect, what it would look like prospectively, how much money would have to go into the pool, what the costs were behind that. And it was the county, the Board of Supervisors at that point in time, and the CEO's office that made a conscious decision that this benefit that they were going to give to sworn personnel, DAs, investigators, and deputy sheriffs, and the cost that was associated with providing that benefit was outweighed by the need to get more people to come in. We were having trouble recruiting people.
Giving a retroactive benefit had nothing to do with recruitment. That was basically a gift to existing employees. It was not a recruitment tool. That's sort of a way to obfuscate what they've done.
Did 3% at 50 have a value to the organization? Unquestionably. We're in one of the toughest hiring markets in the United States. When you look at LAPD, LASO, all of the major law enforcement agencies throughout the Southern California area, the number one topic out there is being able to recruit trained law enforcement professionals.
However, there's a front door and there's a back door. And maybe they're not coming in fast enough in the front door, but they're certainly leaving way too quickly out of the back door. And you're losing people at age 50 that could be captains, lieutenants, and chiefs.
This is a benefit that has really helped us, but it's not the end-all, be-all. It's part of an overall package that says we value our employees.
Supervisor Moorlach is basing his motives on constitutional issues.
When the county approved 3% at 50 for deputy sheriffs and made it retroactive, we being the supervisors at that time, encumbered the county with a rather significant debt. And it has always been kind of odd to me that you could encumber a municipality without getting 2/3 of the vote of your constituents, which is required under the state constitution.
Mario Monero is the supervisor's chief of staff and did the legal research to support the supervisor's constitutional objections.
Article 16, Section 6, the gift of public funds prohibition, and Article 11, Section 10A, which prohibits local governments from awarding extra compensation for services already performed. And it would seem fairly clear at that point that on the face of it, these sections had been violated as well.
So when we came to that conclusion, we said, well, now how do we resolve this? And the only clean, fair way to do that is to rescind the retroactive portion of the new benefit, and that then will affect a few people that have already retired, but it will at least make the termination of unconstitutional payments stopped.
So this is only about the rule of law. When all of us came into this responsibility, we all had to sign, and I still remember, we all had to sign an oath to support and defend the state, or the Constitution of the state of California. And if we were to take a look at this and say, you know, it's unconstitutional, but it's just going to raise, you know, so much anger and it's just not worth it, then we will have violated that oath and we have no business being here serving the people. The people express their will through the Constitution. It is our job as public servants to adhere to that will.
Sheriff Carona suspects this is more about personal issues than the rule of law.
I don't know exactly why John Moorlach's doing it. I have, my own speculation now based upon all the things that have taken place. All the decisions that he's made about the sheriff's department have been from this ivory tower that he lives in, this vision that he has of these evil deputy sheriffs, or he likes to call them union thugs. And that's not the 4,200 people that we have working over here.
Would I do the same thing if everyone in the deputy sheriff's union were my high school buddies, and we go way back, and we're friends, and I'd say, based on my understanding of the state constitution and my responsibility to uphold it, I would still do this because it's the right thing to do.
The deputies were in negotiations. They were close to having resolution. At 12 o'clock on the day that he was sworn in, negotiations stopped with the county. My deputies are still working without a contract. He has proposed taking away the harbors from the Harbor Patrol from the Sheriff's Department and giving it to Newport Beach. He proposed a civilian law enforcement oversight board for the Sheriff's Department because of systemic problems in the organization. He suggested taking away a savings account that has been in existence since Prop 172 came into play. And we've saved money for special projects that the county gets a chance to determine how they're going to be spent. But he wanted to take that away because he felt that it may be being abused by members of the department. And now he's had a full frontal assault at 3% at 50. It could be a conspiracy theory, but for me, all these things add up to John Moorlach just has an issue with the deputies union, believes that they're evil, believes that they're union thugs, and now that he's in a position of power, he's doing everything that he can to take it out on them.
To see both half-hour programs, check our channel listing on the website, or you can purchase a DVD or view them on the Internet as a Friend of Full Disclosure subscriber.